Okay, now we go with Elizabeth Panchuk. Elizabeth Panchuk says, "Hi Abe, I'm Elizabeth. I've been doing 3D for 2 years, trying to find a job. 3D props for games and my main focus right now. I'd love to hear your opinion on how I can improve my portfolio. Thank you very much for your time and feedback." There you go. Let's go. Okay, so right now we're suffering, Elizabeth, from the things that I mentioned frequently here in Portfolio Review, which is the simplicity of the elements, right? We have very simple elements like this grenade right here. It's not bad. It's a fun grenade. Who doesn't love grenades? But I don't see a nice definition of the surfaces. Here's a very common issue that I see. And this is one of those things that I find, again, a little bit weird. If this is a game asset, I understand the faceting here. I understand why you did it. It makes sense, right? But I was explaining how you can optimize that here inside of Maya. So here's what you can do. We can start with a torus. And what's the most important curvature that we need to take into account when doing this kind of thing? Well, what we need to take into account supposed to be editor. There we go. Here we go. Okay, so the most important attribute that we need is the radius. So we do a big radius like that. And then on the section radius, not the section radius, sorry, on the subdivision on this axis, we can increase the subdivision, right? 50, for instance, to get a very nice round effect. So the problem with this is that we get a bunch of polygons, right? We're at 2,000 triangles just for this little loop. But if we go to the subdivision heights and we lower it quite a bit, I'm talking like quite a bit, like all the way down to 8, for instance, we're down to 800 triangles, and that looks a lot nicer, especially when we do a mesh display soft and edge, right? So that gives us a very nice sort of like round, non-faceted look for the whole thing. Now, eventually, if you want to optimize this further, you can do a very similar technique to the one I showed you before, where we go to every other edge loop here, and we collapse it like this, right? And by doing that, we're going to have a very nice sort of like clean outer edge and a little bit of a more faceted inner edge that might not be as noticeable because it's on the inside. And we are reducing the amount of polygons as well. So there are ways to optimize things, Elizabeth, in order to make sure that we don't have that very faceted look. Again, material-wise, they look very flat, so you need to play a little bit more with glossiness. I've mentioned this before. Not only color is important for texturing, but the difference in the material, in the reflectivity of the material is also very important. That's something that you check inside of Substance Painter, which I see that you were using right here. So let's improve a little bit on that one right there. Because again, you can keep this as your portfolio piece. Also, go and check the portfolio presentation workshop that I have so that you can use a little bit of a better light right there. This improves a little bit. This looks a little bit nicer. I can see a little bit more material definition, more elements. But one thing that we're still missing on both of them, Elizabeth, is the wireframe. I need to see wireframes, or I need to see some maps to see how you bake this kind of stuff. Yeah, not bad. We're seeing more shots, that's fine. It's a cool little prop, and you did a really good job on the texture. Looks very realistic, but I'm not seeing the story behind it. This is more like it. This is what I mean when I tell people you can do simple assets, and you can do them in a little bit of a nicer way, right? Like include a little bit more things. So I love this one. We got a key, like candles, things like that. On the candles, I would definitely add more stuff like... what's the word? I will try you to do more stuff like subsurface scattering and things like that to give it a little bit more life. And maybe more stuff. Like, for instance, we have that cat picture. I'm not sure if it's because it died or something. Maybe the color of the cat. Again, like, telling story is always important. But I like this piece a little bit more. Your main, like, point, or the main point that I want you to do for your next pieces, Elizabeth, is make sure to include wireframes because we need to see how you're approaching these pieces. And second, very, very important, try to do something that's a little bit more complex. I know you can do complex stuff like this, but make it complex within a specific context, not just like the isolated object as it is, because then it's very difficult to find something like this interesting, okay? So, yeah, that would be my piece of advice. Let's see. Thank you. What's up, besides, bro? I want to hear from you. Sorry, not reason. No, I know it's not their spec. I'm just being realistic. It's because a lot of people think that what we do is very easy and it can be done fast, and it's not that way. It's not. Sam says, I'm confused what to continue. Like, I'm good in having interest in all things like illustration, 3D modeling, environment, creating digital sculpting, concept art. I want to be art director. Suggestion: do what you are the best at. That's the first suggestion, and you're gonna hear this from everyone that you talk to. Like, whatever it is you're really good at, do that, because that's where you're gonna have the most success. For instance, one thing, I mean, you guys know this. I really like teaching, and I've been told, at least by you guys, that I'm really good at teaching. So that's one of the things that I do primarily, teaching, because I am really good and I enjoy it. So it's like a winning formula for me. But it really depends on what you're good at, and very importantly, as we mentioned before, you need to study what the market is going or doing around you. Like, if no one is hiring 3D modelers where you are, you might want to do something a little bit different, right? If environment is not big where you are, that might not be something that you want to pursue. So look at what there is, what's being needed on the market right now or near you, and then look at what you're good at and try to find like that sort of like perfect match. Okay.